Well, good afternoon, everyone. I would like first to thank again Professor Anna May for having us today, and of course the whole Humanities Institute. It's a real pleasure. I'm glad to participate into this symposium. So my name is Meriem Regragui. I'm a professor of law at the Internationale University of Rabat. And I'm specializing in business law, of course, but more specifically in contract law, labor law, and consumer law. And my broader research interest is about social justice and the protection of vulnerable parties, specifically in contracts and in legal relationships. And my work explores how law can ensure fairness and still protect individuals today in their rights, which brings us directly to my topic today, which is how will AI transform labor rights. So in this presentation, I would like to explore how AI is reshaping labor rights at two levels. The first one would be at the level of the companies, and where workers' rights are, of course, discussed. We're discussing workers' rights to dignity, privacy, and fair treatment, which have to be protected. And the second one is the societal level, because it's becoming a international issue, of course, and more locally state issue, because we must rethink employability, social protection, redistribution in a world increasingly driven by intelligent machines. So ultimately, the question would be around how can we make sure that technological progress continues to serve humans rather than replace them. So as an introduction, I would like to start by mentioning that, of course, the transformation of work in the age of artificial intelligence is undeniably a multi-dimensional phenomenon. First, because it takes multiple forms, and second, because it both depends and influences social and economic norms. It therefore falls to the law, of course, to ensure its fair use and its just use. So the first form is, of course, the implementation of AI within companies. And at first glance, the introduction of AI into the workplace raises questions about how employers will use it in relation to their employees, and consequently whether it may infringe upon existing labor rights. And the second form, which is the potential replacement of humans by AI, also within companies, we know that in economic theory, production is traditionally understood as the result of the combination of capital and labor. Yet, with the advent of AI, one may wonder, does this added value still derive from human labor, or are we witnessing a paradigm shift? So, of course, there are several economic schools about this idea, and schools of thought, and they have addressed this question differently. Some say that AI represents merely an advanced form of capital. It enhances labor productivity, but does not replace the structural role of human work. According to another one, however, certain economists argue that AI introduces a partial substitution of human labor by machine intelligence, and consequently we are increasing share of value added, an increasing share of value added would be produced without human labor, thus challenging the labor theory of value and the very foundation of labor remuneration. And finally, there's a third approach that says basically that AI does not create a new value, but rather captures the value that has been created by humans, human labor. And here, value remains linked to the human labor, but it is diverted by digital capital. But at the present, it seems like the principle that value is created through the combination of capital and labor remains still valid. Yet in the near or a foreseeable future, could we conceive of value being produced solely by capital, now incorporating, of course, AI, rather than by labor as a direct consequence of AI implementation? So this question lies at the intersection of the philosophy of work and its socio-economic implication. If in the future AI enables economic emancipation from human labor, value creation would no longer be redistributed through wages. We would witness a decoupling between work and value. Productivity would increase, of course, while labor income would stagnate or even, in some cases, disappear altogether. And in such a scenario, a structural transformation of work would occur, leading to a concentration of wealth as opposed to its redistribution. Second, it would be a devaluation of human labor as opposed to the maintaining human centrality in value creation. And last, we will be certainly witnessing an increased dependency on technological capital rather than on human labor. So here, the issue then becomes a legal one. What new social norms should we adopt in anticipation of this transformation of work and their socio-economic consequences? So to address this, there are two levels of analysis that can be distinguished. The first one is the microeconomical level, which concerns labor law, labor rights within the company, and the most important ones are about employment contracts, health and safety at work, and algorithmic management. And the second level is, of course, the macroeconomic scale, which concerns labor rights within society. We are questioning right to work and employability. Are we still having the same public policies, or are we discussing new ones related to social protection and redistribution mechanisms, etc.? So starting with the microeconomic level, there's this question about the fact that what changes does the use of AI bring within companies, and how does the law accompany this transformation? And in my opinion, AI here must adapt to workers' rights, not the other way around, because we have certain interests, of course. Multiple legal issues are raised here because there are first the company's interest, which are globally about confidentiality and data protection. And in the other hand, we have workers' rights, which are around privacy and dignity. So among the most salient ethical concerns are those relating to data protection and confidentiality for companies, and preservation of workers' rights and human dignity, on which we shall focus. So how can we preserve worker rights? I chose here to present to you the Moroccan case. As we know, there's no exhaustive list of rights explicitly referring to human dignity at work. However, dignity is often reflected through the protection of health and safety, the right to privacy, and the right to decent working conditions. Under the Moroccan law, we have a beautiful article, 24 of law number 6599, which is our labor code, which requires employers to take all necessary measures to preserve the safety, health, and dignity of employees in the performance of tasks under their supervision, and to ensure adherence to rules of good conduct, decency, and morality within the company. And furthermore, we have another mention in the preamble of the code that states that work is not a commodity and the worker is not a tool of production. It is therefore prohibited under any circumstances to perform work under conditions that infringe upon the dignity of the worker. So those two legal provisions provide, in my opinion, a solid foundation to protect workers' rights. However, the absence of explicit prohibitions regarding certain technological tools prevents full and effective protection at this stage. So this primarily concerns AI-based surveillance systems that monitors workers' activities and performances, raising issues related to the other rights, such as equal pay, non-discrimination during the hiring, and data protection, of course. So here are some, it's just one example that I wanted to share with you. You know, the Neurospot software, which tracks the live employees' performances. And here in the picture, we can see that Anna has made 20 cups, so more than Vika. So they are not at the quite the same pace. And it's just an example of the multiple methods that we are currently using in the companies to track employees' activities. Here I mentioned only the keystroke login, mouse tracking, biometric data collection, random webcam captures, and GPS geolocalization, which are common surveillance tools in workplaces. On another hand, I wanted to mention also the EU AI Act concerning the preserving workers' rights. And this EU AI Act entered into force in August 2024, and it provides the most up-to-date, legal framework in this regard. It classifies AI use in the workplace as either high risk or unacceptable risk. To ensure ethical AI practices and protect workers' rights, especially in recruitment, performance, management, promotion, and of course surveillance, the AI Act mandates to do some things towards the employees. So first, human oversight and control mechanisms to counter algorithmic errors. Second, the right to appeal or contest algorithmic decisions. And last but not least, prior notification to employees of the use of AI in monitoring, recruitment, and or evaluation. The EU AI Act also sets a number of unacceptable risk use of AI within the company and the workplace, which it is generally prohibited for its use because it is considered to be completely unethical, such as behavioral or cognitive manipulation when it comes to the exploitation of vulnerabilities, social scoring system, which are already existing in some countries, emotion recognition in workplace, which could be used in evil means, and real-time remote biometric identification in public places, and of course indiscriminate facial image collection from the internet and or cameras. So what we've noticed here is that while the AI Act has severe sanctions, they can go up to 35 million euros or 7% of global annual turnover for a company, which is enormous. Unfortunately, its enforcement remains limited, particularly for workers, because they are facing some obstacles. The first one would be the difficulty of providing proof. It is very difficult nowadays to bring that when we are just a victim of discrimination during hiring. The lack of corporate transparency, because if the company doesn't allow us to have the information, it is very complicated for us to bring it into a court. And of course, insufficient regulatory oversight and the dismissal or retaliation despite existing remedies, because employees are not eager to use their rights or to defend it when they are supposedly facing a dismissal. And moreover, current law does not prohibit employee surveillance as long as the worker is informed, an approach that neglects the principle of dignity and fosters maybe psychosocial risks. So now moving on to the macroeconomic level, the question is, of course, the issue is broader. With the rise of AI and the potential replacement of human labor, the question shifts from labor law to the right to work. Should we preserve human labor at all costs, or should we accompany this new era of technological transformation? And here, it is no longer AI that adapts to the law, but rather the law that must adapt to AI. The substitution of human labor by AI raises major socioeconomic challenges, a few of which are the reduction of disappearance or of employment opportunities, increased unemployment, company closures. Recently, there has been a closed company in France, Téléperformance, which is well known in the field of call centers. And it closed despite its intention to retain its employees and to fight back the AI revolution. And last, the heightened risks of technological dismissals. So at this point, some might argue that replacing humans with AI could allow individuals more free time with a universal basic income and as compensation, yet it neglects, I guess, the fundamental role of work in human life and in the sustainability of society. In Morocco, again, we are trying, of course, to preserve the right to work, and we have two articles that are, I guess, really interesting to see, because the first one is in the preamble of the Labor Code, which says that work is an essential means for the country's development, the preservation of human dignity, and the improvement of living standards, as well as for achieving conditions conducive to family stability and social progress. So we see in the lens of the legislator that it is really sensitive to the importance of work in one's life. And another article, sorry, there's a mistake here, it's Article 31 of the Constitution. It says that the state, public institutions, and local authorities shall mobilize all available means to facilitate equal access of citizens to conditions enabling them to enjoy their rights to work and public support in finding employment or self-employment. So this article might be challenged with AI now, because we do not know how will employment evolve in the next few years. So from an economic and ethical, the question here is, how then can this right to work be guaranteed under the dominance of AI? And we have to say that it is still conceivable to maintain such commitments when AI performs tasks faster, often error-free and almost costlessly. Which brings us to another synthesis. Unfortunately, we have to admit that from an economic and ethical standpoint, nothing can justify legally compelling enterprises or companies to employ human workers. Replacing employees with AI falls within the freedom to conduct a business, a principle enshrined in economic law. And therefore, any restriction of the use of AI as a substitute for human labor would require a strong and deliberate public policy, one that consciously chooses to preserve human employment for social and ethical reasons. So, in conclusion, at the microeconomic level, the key consideration here regarding AI lies in protecting the dignity of workers, ensuring decent working conditions that respect privacy and autonomy. Ethics must inform both the reinforcement of existing legal provisions by, that's what I suggested, by explicitly integrating AI use within the concept of decent work and human dignity, and the adoption of new measures to regulate surveillance based on reasonableness, proportionality, and transparency. And in the corporate context, AI should be conceived primarily as a tool to facilitate, to accelerate the work, not to be another thing than something to reduce hardship, not an instrument of control. And at the macroeconomic level, I think that the issue is more complex. There is now a pressing need for public policies that address the social impacts of AI and anticipate the consequences of large-scale automation. And in my opinion, such policies must consider the potential introduction of universal basic income, retraining and lifelong learning programs to enhance AI literacy, and of course, tailored support for social transition in the AI era. And my last idea here would be that ultimately the human being must remain at the center of the law's concerns. And thank you for attention.